Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I said, do you know what's changed? And she looked at me as only a little 6-year-old can, and she said, Mummy, I changed my heart.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, who is struggling to read this morning. I'm the author of 6 books about raising happy families. I'm here with my wife and podcast partner, Kylie, Mrs. Happy Families. And we got a 5-star rating and review from what I thought said Elbin, Germany. But Mrs. Happy Families has pointed out that...
it might be LB in Germany.
I've misread that. So LB in Germany, we really appreciate you sending through some comments on the podcast. Thank you.
Love the sharing of real life. 5 stars. Just listening to your episode, I'll Do Better Tomorrow, 208, and was very moved. I really love that you both share real life stories about what you're dealing with that we can all relate to. It helps putting the teachings into practice so that I don't feel like the bad parent who got it wrong. It helps me to feel normal. An added bonus is that my husband loves the podcast. That is a huge plus.
Yeah.
And I can see it's giving him better ideas for parenting as well as our marriage. I think he was tired of hearing it from me all the time and appreciates hearing Dr. Justin's point of view. Thank you.
Hey, isn't that great? For 2 reasons. First of all, you're the one that always gets the praise. But we just love that what we do in this podcast helps families be happier. So thank you, LB Germany, or LB in Germany, depending on, I think you're right, LB in Germany, for that 5-star rating. We got some feedback as well via podcasts, that's podcasts with an S, podcasts at happyfamilies.com.au, from somebody who wanted to remain anonymous, but they said so you remember the other day we were talking about getting your kids to sleep. And how hard it can be to get them to sleep, and the torturous challenge of being woken up in the middle of the night again and again and again. In fact, we got quite a bit of feedback from that one. But somebody sent through a clip from the Australian cartoon show called Bluey. And our kids, we don't really watch a whole lot of Bluey, but everybody loves it. And every time I've watched one, it's just been beautiful. But this person said that sleep podcast reminded me of the Bluey sleeping cartoon episode. So we're going to link to that in the show notes because you haven't seen it yet, but I spent 7.5 minutes, and that's all it is, 7.5 minutes watching it. And it was just so good. It was brilliant about, his Bluey and Bingo, the 2 little baby dogs, and they're getting up for a cup of water and they're having nightmares and they're kicking the parents out of the bed and they're going to the toilet. And then it was just so beautifully done. And it was also heartwarming as well. And it made me think, I hope that we got the balance right when we talked about it, because it's such a beautiful thing to be able to sleep with your kids and hold them close, but it's also such a torturous experience. And so much of it comes down to mindset. And I just love that Bluey's parents are so service-oriented and so willing to do what it takes for their kids. So that was that. We got to do I'll Do Better Tomorrow, which is our favourite segment of the week, and obviously LB in Germany likes it as well.
Well, it's funny because the episode that she actually referred to, I was going to refer to today based on my little experience. So that was a really nice little tie in there.
So episode 208, we'll link to that as well for people who missed it. So I'm going to go first today because, well, I know what you're going to share. I know what you're going to talk about, and I think that should be what we leave people with. But I just want to do a really short I'll Do Better Tomorrow because, by the way, for those of you who are new, I'll Do Better Tomorrow is basically every Friday we reflect on the week. We look for parenting insights, wins, losses, challenges, upheavals, dramas, and even the good things because this is the sort of stuff that helps us to be better parents, more intentional. A couple of weeks ago, we went away as a couple. We had your mum and dad look after the kids, and we had a couple of nights away where we got to breathe and relax and recalibrate and reorient ourselves so that we can be better parents. And one of the things that we talked about was getting the routine back on track. And one of my favorite things that I've done over the years, and something that the kids love, is something that I haven't done for a while, and that's daddy-daughter dates.
The kids love those.
The kids love them. And so
They also love dobbing you in because you get them things that you wouldn't normally get them, like McDonald's ice creams.
I've got, gosh, dang it, you weren't supposed to know about that. So we're trying really hard to not eat any processed sugary junk, and every now and again.
Oh, the 6-year-old doesn't have any problems letting me know.
Every now and again I buy a Yuck Donald's ice cream or something like that. Anyway, so last week I took the 10-year-old out. and we had a daddy-daughter date, took her to a cafe, had breakfast. She ordered just an amazing burger. And then we just kind of hung out for about an hour, hour and a half. Pretty cheap, pretty low-key. Didn't actually, quote, unquote, do anything other than have breakfast together and then go and run a couple of errands. We went and recycled the aluminium cans that she collects, all the bottles and cans. But just connecting with her on that one-on-one level, having that time and listening to her and getting to see her heart and listen to her tell me about her life. It was just brilliant and beautiful. I was like, yeah, okay, this is what it's about. I'm getting it right, which is great because the last few weeks I've shared how I've been getting it wrong a fair bit. And I thought I've got to share this on I'll Do Better Tomorrow, because for any parent who's having a hard time with their kids, regardless of whether they're 3 years old or 10 years old or 16 years old, taking some time out, doing something a bit out of the ordinary and just having a date with no agenda makes such a difference.
What I love about those experiences that you have with the girls is I notice a real change in them as they walk through the door. And for our 10-year-old, she kind of just stood a little taller that day. And the way she spoke to me, there was a confidence in her voice that I hadn't noticed, kind of in recent times. So I really love just how much this experience lifts and edifies our children.
And something really funny happened that night as well, because her big sister, her 13-year-old sister, had an opportunity, a privilege on Saturday night, and she started to go, and then she stopped herself, and out loud she said, I was going to complain about that not being fair, but I've had a pretty good day. I got to have a daddy-daughter date with Dad this morning, and then Mum took me down to Kmart to buy some stuff this afternoon, so I'm not going to complain. And if you want to go and do that, then you just do it. I was like, winning. Wow, where did that come from? Anyway, I can't wait to hear yours, because yours is an absolute cracker. That's coming up next.
It's the Happy Families Podcast.
Imagine a home where discipline got results without anyone having to feel bad or in trouble. The Do's and Don'ts of Discipline is a webinar to help parents set limits with love, compassion and humanity. Find it now at happyfamilies.com.au/shop.
It's the Happy Families Podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. And today we are talking about our favourite thing. We love dissecting and, really just taking apart our week and being able to share the insights that we have as parents.
And this week we're sharing good stuff. Like every now and again we talk about how we totally get it wrong, and we get so much feedback from people who appreciate that we get it wrong and we're upfront about it. But this week, winning all the way. So I've had my daddy-daughter date. We've got a happy 10-year-old. Tell us about your I'll Do Better Tomorrow with our 6-year-old, Emily.
Well, it was great. The feedback that we got from LB in Germany, she talked about episode 208, and that was actually what I was going to refer back to, because in that episode we talked about just some of the challenges we've been having with Miss Emily. She has really just been pushing the boundaries a lot lately, and I've been really, really struggling with it because she's such a beautiful child, but she's very strong-willed, she's very independent, and she really, really just wants to do life her way. And so trying to work with that can be a little bit challenging at times. And so in that episode, we just talked about the fact that we kind of went back to some basics, and we reassessed the routine and, kind of checked in with her and those checkpoints to help her understand and know what was going to be expected of her. But over the last few weeks, we've seen incremental changes in her as she has just taken on board the things that we've talked about and discussed, and we've had some major wins.
Well, I was going to say, you're saying incremental changes, and there have been, but then a switch was flicked about a week ago. Just something happened, and she became literally, we actually were joking around in the house and saying, we've got a brand new Emily. Where's the old Emily gone? Where's the new Emily?
Yeah, it's been crazy. And so about a week ago, I was having a conversation with her, and she said, Mummy, I love you so much. And I looked at her and I said, do you know how I know that you love me? She said, because I told you. And I said, well, that's one way. I said, but the real way that I know that you love me is because you show me. And over the last few days, you have actually been showing me, as you've listened to my requests to do the things that I've asked you to do, that you love me. And she kind of said, she kind of took that in. And then the other night, as we were having a snuggle in bed, I was talking to her about these changes that I'd noticed in her. And I said, there's been some really big changes, like so much so I don't even know where the old Emily's gone. She's not here anymore. And I said, and I am loving this new Emily. And Emily said to me, she said, I know, I know you do, Mum, with this big smile. And I said, do you know what's changed? And she looked at me as only a little 6-year-old can, and she said, Mummy, I changed my heart. And I just was overwhelmed with how much a little 6-year-old kind of gets it, really gets it. And I said to her, I said, what did you change in your heart? And she looked at me again with this gorgeous little smile, and she said, I changed everything. And as I sat there in that little dark space and cuddled up to my 6-year-old, I was so grateful for her heart and her recognition that we can change it, and it makes all the difference.
I love how kids teach us. I'm so glad you shared that. I'll Do Better Tomorrow is, there's a reason it's everyone's favourite. And if you're struggling in your family and things just aren't quite right, maybe that's some great advice from a 6-year-old. If we can change our heart, if we can change everything in our heart, maybe we can just make our families happier. What a great story. Thank you. We hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. If you do, please tell your friends. Maybe share this episode. All you need to do is click on those 3 little buttons in the podcast and click share. You can send it along to somebody and say, hey, this was awesome. I hope you can listen to it and love it. We hope the take-home message gets through, that we can change our hearts and that we can have dates with our kids as well. And maybe you can do what LB in Germany did and leave us a rating and review. Those 5-star ratings and reviews help other people to find out about the podcast to make their family happier. As always, we really appreciate JR, Justin Rulon from Bridge Media, for making the podcast sound great. He's our producer, and our executive producer is Craig Bruce. If you would like more information about making your family happier, even if it means you sit in sit opposite one another and cry about how happy your family can be from time to time, please visit happyfamilies.com.au. We've got all of the information you need about our memberships, about the books, about all of the various products, and even the free stuff that we do to help you to make your family happier. happyfamilies.com.au.